Hello, Year 7. Welcome to your fourth lesson now about Islam. I'm joining you from Saudi Arabia. Flew over there, flouting lockdown rules and gaining a fuzzy aura about me. And either that or I've bought the cheapest available green screen from eBay and made it look like I was at the Kaaba in Saudi Arabia. It does look nice, and I'll leave you to decide which one of those is the true reality. Anyway, the fourth lesson in the Islam unit is about Islamic art, and you're going to learn today firstly the principles of Islamic art, and then most importantly you're going to have a go at creating some on your own. So what you need for today's lesson is a bit of plain paper, preferably a ruler. If you don't have a ruler, you can still do it, but I think your art will be pretty out there compared to if you had a ruler, and then some sort of pencil. If you've got colours, even better. I've got a few pencil crayons knocking around, so I'm going to have a go at doing some Islamic art. So today's lesson, I'm going to share the screen with you, and hopefully I will then teleport up into the corner. Yep, there we go. And we're going to start the PowerPoint presentation. It's quite good for the lesson today if you also click on the link and find your way to this presentation, because you'll need it later in order to create your work of Islamic art with your plain paper. Without the PowerPoint, you'll find it really difficult to do that. But to be honest, even if you don't want to look at the PowerPoint, you could just go with whatever, find another way to do it, perhaps. Anyway, so the objectives of today's lesson are to be able to explain some features of Islamic art and understand why Muslims don't use representational art. It is almost always non-representational. And like I said a minute ago, you're going to then go on to create a piece of Islamic art for yourselves. So it's going to be pretty interesting. So firstly, the principles of Islamic art are that Muslims think it's wrong to try and represent Allah's work. They believe that creation is an expression of Allah's will, and that it's disrespectful, I suppose, to try and recreate that in artistic format. So for that reason, Muslims don't generally draw pictures of human beings or animals, definitely not sacred sort of really important individuals like the Prophet Muhammad, for example. And it's quite a serious crime in Islam to try and draw Allah or represent Allah in an artistic way. And that's quite a difference between that philosophy and the sort of Judeo-Christian way of representing God, which, you know, a lot of the time, if you walk around an art gallery in Europe, you might see lots of pictures of God as a big kind of bloke in the sky, touching his finger against Adam's finger and lying around on clouds and things like that, or being up in the sky and looking down on people. Muslims don't do that generally. They will say that they would say that it undermines God's majesty to try and draw a picture of it. And to try and, I mean, at first you might think, oh, that's rather strange. Surely you draw pictures of your favorite thing if you really liked God. But I think those of you that are interested in thinking about that more deeply should wait until you get into year 12 and 13, because we do a whole unit about what is the best way to try and understand God. Is it in ways that liken God to human beings so that we can understand it better, or is it better to think of God in a non-human, picture way, more of like an abstract concept or yeah, kind of like a concept God. Anyway, won't look forward too much to A-level because that's in 5 years' time. Let's just get on with what we're doing today. So what does Islamic art not have? Generally, people, animals, definitely not God. Why is that considered? What is considered a sin in Islam is to represent God through pictures. And then you're going to learn what else could Islamic art contain. So firstly, Islamic art is quite a common feature of it is calligraphy. I think graphics or graphy is generally a term that means writing or the written form, and calli, I think, as far as I know, means that something is beautiful. So I think that calligraphy just means beautiful writing, and so Islamic art contains quite a lot of calligraphy. It means that Muslims will write out quotes from the Quran, always in the original Arabic, because remember what I said in the last lesson, which was that the revelation of the Quran is believed to be a kind of sacred words from God, and so that's why they're always preserved in the original language. And so a calligrapher would write certain spiritual quotes or texts from the Quran in beautiful writing. It's, as you can see from the pictures, it's writing that is really heavily embellished with lots of swirls and curves. It just looks really awesome. Arabic words are often written into the shape of something to do with their meaning, and it makes them look really nice. And it says that calligraphy is the most highly regarded and most important element of Islamic art, because I think that they believe that because the Quran is the revelation of God, to recreate those words is the highest art that you can have. And so that's why the Quran's written in Arabic. So Arabic script has been altered and beautified over many centuries so that it might be worthy of the divine revelation. Because remember when I said about the lesson where we learnt about the Quran, the revelation is a sonoral revelation. So it's in the sound of the reading of the Quran that where the revelation is contained. The sound of it contributes to the meaning as well. So that's why the divine revelation is sort of beautified to try and capture some of that meaning, I guess you could say. Anyway, objects from different periods vary in their use of calligraphy. So here are some examples to show you. On that one, by the way, the calligraphy is in the middle. You can't see it that well, but it's in yellow. That's a good one. I wish I understood Arabic so that I knew what all of these meant, but you get the picture that it's beautiful writing. So, task number 1, over to you. Think of some things that are important to you. It could just be one word, it could be a phrase, it could be the name of somebody that's very important to you. Just on some bit of paper or card, practice thinking of that word that you've just thought of that's important to you, or phrase, or could be the name of a really excellent football team, for example, like that one there. Or it could be your favourite subject, like that one there, or the favourite school that you like to go to down here. You know, could be anything that's important to you. and just spend a bit of time reflecting on it. Think, how can I make this and write it so that it looks beautiful? Give it a go, and I'll wait here, pause this video at this point, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, I'm assuming that you've now unpaused the video. We'll move on to the next task. So when you click on the next slide, you will be able to create your name in Arabic. Now, I just checked this link earlier, and I know it does work. So if you click on the link, you will go to a website, which I hope won't destroy your computer. If it does, that will be sad, and please don't blame me. But I did check that it worked, and it seemed to be fine earlier. It takes a while to load when you have a computer that is as old as mine. Maybe yours will be quicker. So it says your name in Arabic, and this tool will help you know how to write your name in Arabic. All you do is click and enter your name here. I'm going to write Mr. Mayers in there, and then ignore the adverts and just click write my name in Arabic. And then you will see when you scroll down your own name written in Arabic. Maybe you might want to copy that out, or get a tattoo of it on you at some point. Not now, because you're not old enough, and I'll get into trouble for suggesting that at such a young age. But maybe when you're old enough and you want to have that sort of thing, you might want to do that. But that's my name in Arabic. You feel free to find out what your own name in Arabic looks like. Once you've done that, the next aspect of Islamic art that we're going to talk about is geometric shapes. So Muslims really like to utilize geometric shapes when it comes to their artwork, because in a way Muslims were pioneers of mathematics, and they believed that the glory of Allah can be revealed through the shapes that occur in nature and just generally in the universe. There is always something divine about the way that maths works. Don't tell any maths teachers that I'm telling you this, because usually I slate other subjects and say that religious studies is the best and greatest subject. But if I had to choose another subject to say is good, it might well be maths, because I really like the way that mathematics seems to be above subjectivity. So in a way, it's not a subject that's been created. It's not like Pythagoras one day sat down and thought, I'm going to invent a new theory, or someone said, I'm going to make up a new number called pi, and I'm going to call it 3.14 and whatever else numbers it is. Mathematics doesn't sort of operate like that. It's an understanding of the nature of reality in some ways. Mathematicians discover things that already exist, and these mathematical ideas already exist independently almost of human understanding. So, even if there were no humans, no nothing, no minds or consciousness, but there were just 3 stars in the whole universe, and that's all that existed, really, in some ways, there would still exist a triangle that's made by those stars. The nature of triangularity would still exist, you could argue. Some people might dispute that, and good luck to you. But Muslims, I think, really value geometric shapes because they like to see the way that shapes fit together and the way that they contribute to underline the beauty in nature. So in your workbook, we used to have a kind of a sort of rectangle that used to say, right, colour in this geometric shape. But I reckon a good task for you to do now would be to try to pause the video And once you've done that, on your plain paper, have a go at just drawing a geometric shape. Choose some shapes you like, put them together, see what kind of thing you can come up with. And then maybe also go and have a quick look around where you live and see if you can find examples of where shapes contribute and go together. I would show you one, but the camera isn't quite, I don't want to move the computer, but I'll show you a good example in a little while, because the next big task involves creating some geometric shapes. Anyway, just a quick note before we move on, because you can see on the next slide that there's a bit of information about Islamic buildings. Look at this example here of an Islamic building. You see that it contains both of the concepts that we were just thinking about. This one has a mixture of calligraphy and geometric art. So you can see here the calligraphy goes around the outside of the building, but also all underneath here is geometric art. So you can see it's just a really good example of how Muslims use both types of art to show both the revelation of God's word, and the revelation of God's power through the nature of the universe and the way that it's been so sort of complexly put together. This is what the sheet looked like if you were in the normal lesson, and you just have to sort of colour it in and then have a go at writing, have a go at sort of combining them both together. Probably don't do that in this lesson. Going to have a nice quick lesson today, because I think a lot of your time will be taken up on the next task, which is, let's see what you can do with this. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go over to a different camera to show you how to complete your own piece of Islamic art. Okay, so in the normal lesson that we would have had about this, I would at this point give you a paper plate and say that you're going to create a plate containing some Islamic art, like this one. But because I don't actually have any paper plates, here are some good examples of what they might look like. But because I don't have a paper plate on me, we are just going to use the piece of plain paper that I told you about earlier. So once you find your way onto this slide here, just try and bring it closer so you can see what's going on. There we go. So you can see that there's a kind of circle here, and lots of dots in the circle, lots of blue dots, and they're all numbered. And the way that you complete this activity is you get your piece of plain paper and just put it over your screen for a moment. And I hope if you break your laptop doing this, you don't blame me. But you can sort of see through the paper that there are a series of these blue dots here. And all you need to do is very lightly, don't press too hard, because like I said, I don't want you to jab your laptop screen. But look, you'll see there's one little circle there, so just put a little dot. And then on this next row, there are 4 circles. Just put 4 little dots, where try and get them in as close to the middle of the circles as you can. There's another one there. There's another one there. And another one there. So there's like a row 1, 4, 1, 2, and then there's another row of 2 in the middle. And then you'll see that there's 2 more on this bit. 2 more. Oh, I've just moved it, but if you it doesn't matter if you move it a little bit, because you can just align it again with the dots and make sure it's okay. It doesn't have to be that exact, really. And then there's another row of 4. 1. Moved it again. 2, 3, 4. And then there's one final one at the bottom here. Okay, and then take this away. And you'll see now that when you look back at the slide, you've got a series of numbers. And those numbers tell you where to join up your... Just move this. This is the most complicated lesson to do ever. Actually, we'll get this light here as well. There we go. Hopefully you can see it a bit better now. And all you need to do is look on the PowerPoint where you can see the different numbers. Start with number 1 up here, and then just look around and think, where's number 2? Right, it's that dot there. So I'm going to join that dot with that dot. Okay, so you should just have one line that goes like that. And then all you need to do is just keep doing the same thing. So you just keep going from 1 to 2, then go 2 to 3, and just keep doing it. I'm going to pause at this point because you don't want to sit and watch somebody do that. I just thought I'd show you that by the time you get to number 7, you should have got one just big hexagon that goes all around the top and joins back at number 7. And then the line that goes down to number 8 goes over to here. And then the line that goes over to number 9 goes here. And then the line that goes back up to number 10 goes here. So you should have a hexagon with a big triangle inside it at this stage. I'm going to pause it again. I feel like I'm sort of spoiling it for some of you because I bet some of you just want to go ahead and do it all yourselves, and that's fine. But I just wanted to show you at this point what it ought to look like. If you've gone and done loads of lines and it doesn't look like this after you get back to number 10, you've probably just gone wrong somewhere. You might want to start again or just carry on with your own way of doing it, which both of those options are totally fine. But I'll just pause it now and do some more work on it. Hello, just checking in again to make sure you're okay. I'm really proud of myself because I've managed to get to number 22 without making any mistakes. I've taught this lesson for about 5 years now, so at first there were just loads of bits of paper screwed up in anger, but now I finally got it down to following it right. So don't worry if you make mistakes because it is very difficult to get to this stage. But I've got up to 22 here, and you can see that it's essentially a series of triangles overlapping each other, but they're getting smaller and smaller. So hopefully it would look like this at this point. And we're on 22. I know that it goes up to number 30. So we're over 2/3 of the way there. So just keep going. Pause it now if you want to carry on the next bit. Hey, look, I've nearly finished. One more line, look. 29. Going across to 30. Don't mess it up now. Yes, finished. So hopefully you should now have something that looks like this. And essentially it's loads of triangles overlapping each other. And you might have noticed that some of the spots you didn't actually have to draw a line because that was just to move it along a bit to start the next triangle. And then it was doing it again and again. So really interesting pattern as well. And your next task is to pause this video once again and now colour it in. Think of some different colours to show. I don't know what you want to show. Something amazing. Right, I'll be back. I'm off to get some colouring pencils. Hello again, Year 7. You might find it strange that I'm saying hello again, because for you that was 1 second, but for me it's now tomorrow. Or well, today for me, but tomorrow for you, the you that was listening to the video earlier. But now to me it's tomorrow because I got a bit fed up colouring this in and had a little break, but and then left the filming of this video for a whole day. But you can see that I've kind of scribbled it in and made this work of geometric art. So if you've done your colouring in a similar way, you might have found that you've done it in some sort of similar way, or maybe your triangles are absolutely random colours. It depends. I think I can't remember why I did it like this, really. I think it was because this middle bit represents the human soul or consciousness, and the orange bits are kind of the way that we express that in the world. The red bits are the things that we do wrong, and that's kind of like the human condition in that middle hexagon. Then the green is the earth that we live on, surrounded by the sea that is around the land. Then there's space that we haven't explored yet in all these, the dark bits that we don't know. It's the universe. And then the purple triangles are all the sort of cosmic, edges or whatever's outside the universe that might represent. You might find an equally crazy spiritual mumbo jumbo to say to justify your colors, just like me, but that's what I went with anyway. Welcome back. Hopefully by now you've got a really good understanding of Islamic art and what makes it up, both calligraphy, beautiful writing, and geometric patterns reflecting the beauty of the nature of the way that the universe is constructed. And it's time to have a little bit of a debate. I mean, I was a bit worried about getting into this kind of debate because people in the world have argued over this quite severely in the past, and some people feel very strongly about it. So anyway, the plenary is to think about, are these images here is likely to be Islamic art or not? Have a look at the images, see what you think based on what you've been told and what you've learnt today. Which ones do you think are Islamic art and which ones are not so much Islamic art? And pause the video and have a little think about it. And hopefully you'll have seen that these ones containing geometric patterns, this one and this one, and calligraphy are the ones that are most likely to be Islamic art. This is probably not draw animals or creatures or people, for example. Now, there's the arguments that have arisen out of this kind of thing are between some folks like to draw things that represent the universe and the world they live in. Some people think that art doesn't do justice to the things that exist in the world and the beauty of creation and nature and things like that. For example, if you see a picture of a bird, is that as beautiful as seeing the real thing? If you're sitting in front of a picture of the Kaaba, can you really say that you've actually been to the Kaaba? No. So in some ways, looking at reality is more beautiful and more representative of reality than looking at art. One of the philosophers that we study in year 12, called Plato, believes that art is a fake, poor representation of reality, and that we should sort of dismiss it as giving us any sort of true reality. But then try telling that to an artist who thinks that art represents a deeper level of understanding and knowledge about the universe than our senses can give us and tell us, and that we can get through reason. So have a bit of a chat with the people around you. Do you think that art is really a good way to understand the world, or does it distract us from the nature of reality? It's quite an interesting thing to think about. So right, so well done for your work today. I'm off now to put my wonderful Islamic art somewhere around the house so that whenever people see it, they'll be like, whoa, who did that amazing work of art? And I'll say, yeah, well, it just kind of came to me in a vision. I just kind of wanted to put those shapes together to make this wonderful art. I won't tell them that really I just got a ruler and a pencil and copied some lines, but you know, you don't have to admit to the truth, or you could tell the truth, whatever. Well done for your work. I'll see you in a couple of weeks' time, where we will be learning something more about Islam. Speak to you soon. Bye bye.